Doing a throw, corner of the end zone, touchdown, Parker. Picked off by Xavier Howard. Tagovailoa trying to make up for it, fires to the end zone, touchdown! That's hard work.
What's good, Fins Nation? What's good? We got a legendary one for you tonight. I'm joined by the man, like on Twitter, I said, Jesus gets hairstyling tips from the legend himself, Josh Houtz from the Phinsider, and a special guest and a surprise guest, the whole party from Fins or Die. How you boys doing tonight?
What's up?
This is amazing. I actually pitched this to Sordi like weeks and weeks ago. I was like, yo, if I could get Houtz on a show, would you join? Like I didn't even tell Josh about this. And then Sordi was like, yo, I've been really busy lately. So I hit him up tonight. I was like, yo, man, if I sent you that link with those eye emojis. And Sordi was like, yo, I'm going to dip on my girl right quick and let's do this. So
yo, I saw the eye emojis in my DMs. You slid into them. I had to make the move, you know?
You're sleeping on the couch for sure.
Maybe tonight, we'll see. I might get drunk enough. I'll pass out there anyway.
That is awesome.
Boys, I got to get your thoughts. The whole Tua situation right now. First of all, what does your gut tell you? Do you think he's going this weekend?
Sordi, you want to go first? You go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. My gut says Fitz is starting this week. I wish my gut said Tua, but I think we're going to play it safe. Just like some of Flo's coaching decisions have kind of lent on the more conservative side, I feel like. For example, we saw him pull him out of the Denver game. We played it safe last week. And now they're saying, well, Tua did practice. It's looking a little sketchy from what we're hearing. I know it's questionable. They did say he decided the decision today. With that being said, I just think he went Fitz.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we can all agree that, for the long term, who knows what this thumb injury is, but we all saw him ripping balls in the tunnel last week. If he was truly limited in practice, what changed throughout the week that he can't be ready to go. So I see what you're saying, but I think, if Tua is going to be the quarterback moving forward, like Flores said, you got to get him out there this week against a bad Bengals team so he can be ready to go against the Chiefs and, those last 4 games. So I think you're right. I think they probably ultimately will go with Ryan Fitzpatrick. But, I'd love to see Tua go out there, and I think we all will because he needs to get this game. He needs to bounce back after Denver last week.
So I agree with you, Houtz, and I actually agree with you, Sordi. I agree with both of your points, but let me ask you guys this now. Flip side. We now go back, and he's already proven in the middle of a winning streak he'll change quarterbacks. But now you're going into a 2-game winning streak because I think we're going to win no matter who the quarterback is this week. I just think Tua gives you the chance at doing more, and we also want to see the growth and development and him getting more acclimated to the scheme, the playbook, so the installs can get more and more in depth as the weeks go by. Just then that's going to take reps, and so these reps are more precious for a rookie than a 15-year vet. But if we go out and we win this game, are you guys, and again, I agree with you guys, he's our dude, but do you go right back to Tua against a powerhouse like Kansas City where it could become a shootout?
I don't know. I think Brian Flores is going to do whatever the hell he wants, and I think that's what we need to ultimately realize. He doesn't care what the fan base thinks. He doesn't care about feelings. If Tua isn't going to be be that quarterback and give the team the best chance, like he said, and an 80% Tua versus 100% Ryan Fitzpatrick, why wouldn't the coaching staff go with him? Why wouldn't they protect that hand? But again, I'd love to see him go out there. Would he flip-flop next week? Anyone's guess. Again, Brian Flores does whatever he wants. He even smirked after his press conference. I'm not here to tell you Tua's status, but 15 minutes from now I will find out. So you gotta love Brian Flores. We got to see what happens, but I think for the long term health of Tua and just the betterment of the team, I think it would be in their best interest to go with Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, as far as for this week, I'm thinking if we start Fitzpatrick this week and he kills it, if he kills it this week, I'm almost nervous that the locker room is going to sway to that side a little bit for Kansas City. With that being said, like Houtz said, Flo doesn't care, right? He's going to go with whoever gives him best chance to win. I am a little bit nervous that we're going to open it up to that QB controversy. But I'm going back to what Flo said. I think it was earlier this week. He said, I don't know how many times I need to tell you guys, Tua is the QB moving forward no matter what. So I'm going to try and stick to my gut there and say, even if Fitz goes out, kills it, as long as Tua is healthy for the following week for Kansas City, I think that Tua will start that game. With that being said, that makes me nervous because if Fitz comes in this week, does a great job, and then, look, let's face it, we're playing the Chiefs. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. If Tua's first game back after the Broncos game is playing the Chiefs, and let's say we lose, he might not look that great against an elite team. I think this fan base on Dolphins Twitter is just going to go insane. So curious to see what happens there.
And that's crazy, though. I mean, I don't even know if we'll talk about that, but you got to give a guy more than 4 starts. And, we all see what Justin Herbert's doing. We can talk about, him until we're blue in the face, but it's not one quarterback has to be the only one of this class, to have success in the NFL. There's no reason why both these guys can't go out there and win football games. And I think this fan base needs to calm down because we already see them with the pitchforks getting ready to go after Tua, and, it's not right.
I agree with you, guys. Like, it's ridiculous because kind of like what you said there, how it's, I mean, you go look at what Matt Infante put up on, was it last week or the week before, where he compared the first 4 games of Tua to Wilson, Luck, Kyler Murray, and Joe Burrow. And out of all of them, Tua was in the 60% completion range at 61.1, but he was the only one out of all of them that had no interceptions. And he was the only one out of all of them that was triple digits in passer rating. But he was 3-1. And let's be honest, I mean, the offensive line and at times the play calling did him no help against Denver. It wasn't like this kid had perfect pockets on every drop back. I mean, you watch the All-22 Houtz, you know what it is. I mean, Jackson's been he's been Jekyll and Hyde since he came back from his injury. I don't know whether it was too early, but we're seeing the things on tape that worried us about him. Bradley Chubb, I was talking to Sordi, you talk about Onai, Okwara, you talk about all the Espinesa, these guys who beat Austin Jackson last year. It was going across his face, and that's exactly what Bradley Chubb did. I mean, that tells me Bradley Chubb's either a really intuitive football player or he did his homework beyond this season. And so my point is no one did him favors in his one loss, his one blemish. And the one time he had to go neck and neck and shoot out with a guy who's coming off a Rookie of the Year win, what happens? He shows up and he takes us on a game-winning drive, and we end up winning the football game out of field goal, right? Zane Gonzalez did his job. I'm missing, but I don't care about the miss. I care about who got the W. And Tua stepped up when he had to. Tua delivered. That's jokes. And Tua delivered. You know what I mean? So
he's doing what the staff's asking him. And you're right. Chan Gailey's offense is doing him no good. And, some of that, people were knocking him in the draft process because of all those elite wide receivers he had in the NFL. Right now, he's playing with Devontae Parker, and who's opposite of him? Jakeem Grant, Matt Collins. You can go down the list. And yes, as fans, we see the promise in these guys. We think that they have potential. But let's be honest. I mean, there's no one outside Devontae Parker that you can rely on after Preston Williams went down. So this isn't the same receiving core. These aren't the same weapons. And it's going to, again, take time because I think a lot of us just keep forgetting there was no preseason. These first 4 games that he started were essentially that duration of a preseason. No, he wouldn't have got the same amount of reps. But, it's all going to take time to come together. And I think we all need to be happy with where we are in year 2 of a rebuild because, again, I didn't foresee this team being in this position, 7-4 record, doing this well this early in the rebuild. I mean, next year I see this being the year that we take off. So I'm sorry for the kids, but I mean, that's just my thoughts on the situation. I think everyone just needs to calm down and just remember, he is a rookie, he is going to take those bumps, but I think ultimately he will be the future quarterback of this franchise.
Yeah, I mean, and just kind of further to what you're saying, Houtz, I mean, and I'll let you give your thoughts here, Sordi. People seem to also be forgetting that, Herbert just came off throwing 52 times, and he only threw for 312 yards, a touchdown, and an interception, and it took 52 attempts. Is that really that great? I mean, Joe Burrow in his second game, I think Joe Burrow, to me, has been more impressive than Herbert because he's had about as much as Tua's had, except his receiving core has been a little bit more consistent, and Joe Mixon is obviously better than what we have in our backfield right now. But Joe Burrow bounced back after getting beat up by the Ravens. You know what I mean? And Justin Herbert, I mean, you saw what Buffalo did to him. You saw we laid the blueprint on how to beat him, which I said on this channel here before that game was all you got to do was do what New Orleans did with their second half adjustments, force him to the sidelines, take away the seams, take away the vertical stuff, drop your linebackers into zone, got your guys on the boundaries into man, so that forces him out there. But I mean, everyone's forgetting that this guy Herbert's averaging like 40 attempts a game. Tua is averaging like 24. In this offense, even Fitzpatrick is just averaging 30 plus attempts a game, right? But they still have the same 1.5 touchdowns per game ratio. The difference is Fitz offers you about on average an interception a game as well. So, Sordi, I want to get your thoughts on this because, from what you've seen, I mean, we're talking about, the Dallas game and, the Dallas Thanksgiving game and the play calling there, from what you've seen, first of all, context is everything. So, he's done what they've asked him to do, and what they've asked him to do isn't very much. But has the play calling and from what you've seen, the offensive line done him very many favors, especially in the Broncos game?
No, not at all. I think the offensive line has been failing him. I think the play calling hasn't been great. I feel like you see Chan Gailey abandon the run a lot, or just not come up with some like interesting schemes to run the ball a little bit more efficiently there. Let's not forget that our running backs fumbling the ball isn't very helpful either in some of these games. But overall, the Chan Gailey situation really sketches me out in a sense that I don't think he's the best match for Tua moving forward. And I know a lot of the talk before the season was that Chan Gailey is going to be a bridge offensive coordinator. Well, my question is, who is he bridging to? That's what kind of confuses me. If he's not going to be the good match for Tua, who's going to be that next guy to really open up the offense more and really play to Tua's strengths?
Yeah. And the question is he here, right? And I mean, Houtz, I want to hear your thoughts on this. And, we can take the kids in the background. That's fine. And that's hilarious. But, do you think, I mean, we all pretty much knew walking into this, Chan Gailey was probably going to be here for like 2 or 3 years just because, he's coming out of retirement. He even said in Zooms, Houtz, you sit in on all of them. I only sit on one a week. It kind of seemed, especially in the preseason, Fitzpatrick was a contributing factor to Chan Gailey really coming back, it seems. Do you see, is it the tight ends coach? Do you think it's the quarterbacks coach that came over from the Jets, that was over with the Jets with Fitzpatrick and him? Do you see that being in-house, or do you see it being, you got to go pick the college ranks potentially for an offensive coordinator?
I mean, I'd rather him go to the college ranks. I mean, I think you're right. No one really saw Chan Gailey, as this long-term answer here. I think we expected him to do a little bit more, just open things up a little bit more. So I don't know. I think they're going to go towards the college ranks. I think that you would definitely like to see, him open things up more. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place.
No
but
worries, bro.
Yeah, that's about. What about you, Sordi?
As far as OC goes, me and Reason were talking a little bit before. I like the Sarkisian idea. I mean, if Tua is going to be our QB of the future, let's pair him with a dude who we know he's had success with. And I think Sarkisian deserves another shot. The moving up in the ranks, come be our OC, see what happens. With that being said, I am open to the idea of trying to poach another offensive genius to join our team and pair him with Tua. Maybe Stephen Ross could throw the check at Lincoln Riley or someone. I highly doubt it, but that'd be a nice dream.
I got a question here. I got a real good one for you guys. I asked this to Dante. I didn't want to ask it to Richmond because I know of his ties, his close ties to a lot of players and stuff like that. Here's a good one. Okay, we can identify that. I mean, and we can all agree, it was beyond this Sunday against the Jets. We should have blown them out of the water. It showed it's beyond the quarterback, okay, right now. The stagnance of this offense at sometimes, all right? So let me put you in this context. Here's a real good question for you. And Sordi, I'll start with you and Houtz, you can follow up. Sordi, Sordi and Houtz, do you think that, and guys, we all know the Twitterverse and this fan base. We know the toxic side of this fan base and what it can be like. I gotta ask you this. I call it the dark side because they exist on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. God bless them, and Twitter. They exist on every social media platform. But here's the question, Sordi. Okay, you've seen the expectations of this fan base just for Tua so far. If we make the playoffs with Tua as the starter and he gets knocked out and this team gets knocked out in the first round, do you think it's going to be because do you think we're going to get exposed? Play calling, offensive line, lack of separation with receivers, all mixed in with a rookie quarterback. That's a good mixture, right? Do you think we're going to get exposed if we get to the playoffs? And because right now we got to face, Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans if it started today, and we all know we got to get into how bad the run defense has been at times. But Sordi, do you think we would get exposed? A, and B, do you think, I know we all want to see the playoffs. It's a beautiful thing, but it's the playoffs maybe for everyone's sanity, maybe something, you know what I mean? Because the expectations, if we don't reach them, we all know what it's going to be. And, I've gone on record, Sordi. I truly believe people are going to say he's Lamar Jackson. He can't win because they won't take into account everything around him. They're just going to say, oh, it's Lamar Jackson. He can't win.
So let me start with this. I truly do believe we're going to make the playoffs. I truly do. I think we beat the Bengals. I think we lose to the Chiefs. I think we beat the Patriots. I think we beat the Raiders. The Bills game, I'm not sure, but that should be enough. I think that should be enough to get us in. Now, with that being said, if we lose in the first round of the playoffs, let's just say, for all intents and purposes, we're playing the Titans because that's the way it's slated right now. I think the Titans, with Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill, an experienced veteran QB, and a defense that I think is going to get better as the season goes on, I would expect us to lose that game. I don't think we necessarily get blown out, but I think they're really going to expose some of our deficiencies on offense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Derrick Henry runs not tramples over our defense, but he would put in work over our defense. Now, with that being said, the dark side of Twitter is going to go insane regardless, right? If we make the playoffs and we lose that game, they're going to go insane saying that Tua's not the guy. Justin Herbert, his physicality and strong arm would have won us the game. And if we don't make the playoffs, they'll kind of say the same thing, right? That Tua wasn't able to lead us there. They'll bring up the fact that he missed 1 to potentially 2 games during the season, and that's why he wasn't sharp enough. So yeah, like I think we'll get a little exposed in the playoffs, but we're a really young team. We're one of the youngest teams in the NFL. I think most logical and rational Dolphins fans all expected that the 2021 season is our season to make the playoffs and make that run. If we make the playoffs this year, it's an amazing consolation prize.
Yeah, I agree with you 110%.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. You just got to remember that this is all, we're a year early almost. And I do think you guys are right. And Twitter and, all of social media would be absolute hell if Ryan Tannehill, knocked Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins out of playoffs, no matter how much better they are. And, I would say they're the better team, but, anything could happen any given Sunday. But this fan base would, they would effing lose their mind if Ryan Tannehill, knocked the Miami Dolphins out of playoffs.
Oh, my God.
That sounds like my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Now thinking about it.
Me and Sordi were beating around the bush and how it went through. Oh my God. All right. So let's on the flip side. Okay, guys, I want to ask you both, how impressed you guys have been with a kid like Raekwon Davis and the way he's been coming on. I mean, there were fist pumps just like in Brian Flores' chair over here when we drafted him. I mean, I love the kid coming out. I had him number 3 on my big board, only behind Javon Kinlaw and Derek Brown, but I had him perfect for the scheme because he reminded me of Chris Jones from the Chiefs. An early, they got the length, similar frame, et cetera, et cetera. I want to get your thoughts, guys, and Sordy, we'll start with you again. What are your thoughts on literally Raekwon Davis blossoming before our eyes and becoming, a serious impact player next to a healthy Christian Wilkins when he's in there?
Yeah, man. So I think the Raekwon Davis pick, and like you said, with the Flores fist pumping, right? I think that's where you see Flores's experience in the draft and like kind of his stamp on the team with that pick. With that being said, it's amazing to see Raekwon Davis killing it. Week in and week out, I'm watching the team. He's just making plays all across the field. He's an animal. He's disrupting the offensive line. He's getting in the backfield. The kid is a freak. I know he's one of PFF's highest graded rookies, I believe. He might even be one of the highest graded defensive rookies, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I can't be happier with the way that he's played so far. And I think the Raekwon Davis selection is honestly very similar to the DK Metcalf pick. And DK Metcalf is a top 5 wide receiver right now, most people would say. And I'm not saying Davis is a top 5 defensive lineman. But what I mean by that is you just look at this dude. He's 6'7", dude. He's a tank.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, and I know you don't always want to just draft those dudes based on the way they look. I believe it was Vernon Golston. Was that the Jets guy they drafted a couple of years back who looked like a freak? Yeah, so you don't necessarily want to draft them just because they look like an animal. But that was one of the picks where you saw like he was a starter at Alabama for years. He has the build. It almost wouldn't hurt us to make that pick and see what happened, and it's working out very well before our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It almost looks like he can eat small children. I mean, to be completely honest, I mean, this guy he's a mammoth, and you're right. He looks like, he just anchors down in that defensive line, and he just can't be moved, and we're seeing it pay dividends. I will say that, I really wanted J.K. Dobbins, but we're seeing this Raekwon Davis pick really pan out. The defensive line's seen a lot of, players emerge, whether it be Zach Sealer, Emmanuel Hagba getting to the quarterback. You got to be impressed with some of those lower end signings that are really working out. And again, like Sordy said, maybe that's a testament to Brian Flores and his scouting background and just knowing, exactly what type of player he needs to execute his type of defense. So I'm excited about Raekwon Davis. I hate to see Raekwon McMillan leave. I used to call him Baquan. Now we got Baquan Davis.
Yeah, I call Raekwon Davis only built for Dolphin links, brother. And what's crazy is, I'm on record in my preseason predictions. I had a roundtable show with a bunch of content creators on YouTube. And I mean, one of my bold predictions was that hold on a sec here. We lost the homie Houtz for a sec. One of my bold predictions was actually that Emmanuel Ogbah was going to hit double-digit sacks. So the way that guy's playing right now, he's so impressive. Like, it's unbelievable. And, another thing I wanted to ask, and hopefully Houtz can get back here in time, Sordy, but again, I'll start with you, brother. Give me your thoughts. Like, only a couple weeks ago before the injury happened, how forward to this matchup were you looking in terms of Burrow versus Tua, and now we got the possibility of Ryan Fitzpatrick versus Brandon Allen?
Yeah, man, like if that's a matchup, it's pretty trash. I hate to say it. We were talking a little bit before the show. I'm just not very hyped about this game. I wish I could say I was, but I'm going to be honest, I'm just not, right? If I find out Sunday morning that Tua is a starter, that's going to go from 20 to 100 because they'll be able to see Tua cook against a Bengals defense that isn't the greatest. With that being said, you really hate to see what happened to Joe Burrow. It sucks. One of my best friends is a Bengals fan, and dude, the second I saw that injury, I reached out. I was like, I'm so sorry, man. That's rough. I think Burrow will make a full recovery. I don't know if he's going to have the same scrambling ability and like magician like talent he has in the backfield just to make a play out of nothing. With that being said, I still think he'll be a good player moving forward. But yeah, dude, like this was going to be the battle of the future at the QB position in the NFL, right? It was going to be Tua versus Burrow, like a marquee matchup. And hey, even Herbert now is coming on, and it's great because this could rival the 2004 draft class at QB with Rivers, Manning, and Roethlisberger. I truly think it could rival that one. Maybe it'll be better. Maybe we win a couple Super Bowls. Maybe Herbert takes one, Burrow takes one. We'll see there. But, it was going to really display the future of the league, and that got robbed from us, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah, man. And I mean, Here's the thing, brother, and it just keeps getting compounded. I mean, like, what are your thoughts right now on the running situation? I mean, it's an absolute disaster. We'll get into the injury report in a minute, but Salvin Ahmed, he hasn't recovered from when he dropped his shoulder a couple weeks ago and took that big hit. DeAndre Washington is now doubtful with a hamstring injury. Breda's put on COVID officially today. Myles Gaskin's ready to go since last week, but for some reason they won't activate him. I mean, brother, they're going to be calling me and you real soon to fill in some slots here. It's bad. I mean, are we going to get to a point where we have to see Malcolm Perry and Lynn Bowden?
Yo, I was actually thinking that, man. So like you just rattled off, man, our running back group is beat up badly right now. I'm pretty sure that I read somewhere today on Twitter that I think Gaskin can be activated by tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm expecting Gaskin to get activated. I can't imagine us going into this game with just Laird. I don't know if the intern would do a great job, just him as the lead back there. We're really banged up, man. But I was thinking about the fact that Perry could play running back if we needed him to. I know it would be a little rough. I'm sure he's taken snaps at the position and with what little practice we've had this season. I know there was a lack of a real legit training camp.
Yeah.
But I think Perry would truly be able to make it work if he had to. And like you said, Lynn Bowden also. I'm going to be honest, man. I'm not going to say disappointed because I know he was kind of an early to mid-roundish pick. I'm not too disappointed with what the lack of production he's had so far this season. I wouldn't hate to see him get some snaps at running back or maybe some gadget plays and just see him produce a little bit. Who knows? Maybe it's a little blessing in disguise, and we could kind of see what this guy we traded for is really made of.
And I mean, here, let me bring this up for everyone to see right now. This is the injury report as of today, basically heading into the weekend. So when you go over the Miami Dolphins, I mean, Salvin Ahmed, limited. He's doubtful. But the crazy thing about Solomon Kinley, Malcolm Perry, and Tua is they've been limited basically all week, and they're just questionable. So he must be like a truly game time decision. As you see, DeAndre Washington here, guys, he's doubtful as well. I mean, it sucks when all those major injuries are at one spot, brother. Like, it's like, now we can't, and it's at one of the highest contact positions where anything can happen against a running back. I mean, you don't really need to know a lot about football to know that could happen. So, and then you look at the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, Tony Brown out of a week already cornerback group. It is what it is. Christian Covington, next to DJ Reader, he's probably their best inside guy. He's questionable. AJ Green, he pops up, but that's probably just little nicks. And then they just got a whole bunch of questionables all the way through the backfield, into the receiving core, the backfield of the secondary, into the key receiving core, et cetera, et cetera. So no big names, but let's be honest with ourselves. How many big names do they really have in Cincinnati right now?
Yeah.
So, I mean, is that curious to you that, you got players on there where they're limited all week and they're just straight up doubtful. And look at it, Tua. Last week he was limited all week and then he was just straight up doubtful. But, the way they said was he was doubtful last week, but it was a game time decision. They said he was almost ready to go. He's got to be good to go, brother.
See, that's the thing that sketches me out, though, man. I'm going to be honest because I don't know if you saw this today, but on Twitter, there was that speculation from some random doctor on Twitter. Like, these Twitter people. There's like some
Jeff
random
Morse.
doctor.
Jeff Morse.
That might have been him. But I saw if that was the guy, he was tweeting about Tua's thumb and how he'll be out for like multiple weeks. I was like, yo, this is kind of sketch. I don't know if this is true. So I tweeted at, Pro Football Doc, David Chow.
Yes, sir.
So I tweeted at him and I was like, hey, Dr. David Chow, Dolphins Twitter is going wild here. Please, I would love your insight. Can you give us a little bit of thought onto Tua's thumb? So he lets me know. He's like, hey, I've opined about Tua's thumb on media, Twitter, and my website. I'll stand by my previous thoughts. So I did a little bit of more research into what he thought. And he said that there's a potential that Tua could play this week, but he truly doesn't think that Tua is going to play. And I think that's because of just something with I believe the ligament in his thumb. There's something that's into his thumb that David Chow doesn't think Tua is going to be able to go.
So this is the injury. This is the original one. This Jesse Morris, where he says Tua likely has a partial tear of his UCL, the same injury as Stafford and Gardner Minshew, knowing that this does not heal in a week. So expect Ryan Fitzpatrick to start. See, this last line, though, I don't know whether the old doc stroked out here or whatever, but he says, if you're at the start, he likely to be ineffective. I don't know what that if he's to start, he'll likely be ineffective. I don't know what he's saying there, but I think that's the original one you're talking about. And then Pro Football Doc David Chow. So was it basically the same thing? Is he talking about that UCL ligament?
Yeah, so David Chow didn't necessarily bring up the UCL, but he mentioned, so this is his tweet. I'm going to read it. It says, so Cameron Wolf posted the picture saying closer look at Tua's thumb with that black brace on. And David Chow said, it fits with thoughts posted at our free injury website that Tua could play this week, but it won't. So David Chow thinks that Tua isn't going to play. He might think that this UCL might be a little bit more sprained and could potentially take another week. So it's very interesting because you think by the injury designations in the injury report, he would be good to go. But some of these independent doctors on Twitter don't think he's gonna. And I truly don't think these guys have an agenda. Yes, that's the exact tweet. So he doesn't think that Tua's going to go. And David Chow doesn't have an angle. He's an independent doctor. He works for Outkick.
Yo, Sordi, I just got to say, without saying, you looked into the past, though, right? Holy crap. Did you look into his past, brother, at the Chargers?
I know he works for the Chargers. He's a little sketchy, yeah.
Oh, no, a little. Did you look into it, brother?
I didn't go too deep, but I know.
No, but I mean, we've all seen Any Given Sunday. We know how it works, right? Like, I don't think that's his by choice, right? That you got to get guys out on the field, brother. Like, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But being right means everything to his brand right now. That's why I actually believe I'm not discrediting the guy because I actually do follow what he says, and I agree with you 110%. So. I was just asking you in fun if you had checked him out. That's all.
Yo,
look it up.
Look it up after. Send me the resources.
I will. Look it up because I was just reading. This guy takes it. You know how Twitter is. This guy takes it in the threads, brother.
I believe it.
Oh, buddy.
I'm gonna be honest. Every single time I've ever tweeted at him, he got back to me.
Yo, he seems like a decent, nice guy, man. And here's the thing:
he does.
We can all agree, my friend. The NFL are basically shady politicians under a shield. That's all. Like, they're as shady as politicians, brother. And have you seen the movie Any Given Sunday, right?
Yeah.
You remember how the doctor took the fall, but everyone knew what was going on, and they all basically wanted it to go down.
Yep.
That's basically it, right? Like, and like I said, you know how it is, especially with Twitter. You have to be legit and you have to be on point, or else you will get dragged. So he can't afford to be shady, and like you said, he's got no bias in the situation. Like, he's on neither side. His opinion matters to him getting some followers and then people checking out his website and therefore getting ad revenue, right? So that's crazy to me that he thinks. Because I actually didn't see this tweet before you mentioned it, brother.
Yeah, dude, to be honest, man, I'm surprised that Dolphins Twitter didn't blow up more about this. Don't get me wrong, it's probably just because they don't follow him, but he's kind of been consistently saying that Tua's not going to play this week. And I've seen his other industry insights and like designations he's made, and he's more right than wrong. I hate to say it because I want to see Tua play really badly, but you take into account that it's his throwing hand. We all know Tua relies heavily on accuracy in his game, of course. And if that's even affected a little bit, and listen, let's make this very clear. At the QB position, I think we have a good problem. We have 2 QBs that could get the job done pretty effectively. And like I like Fitzpatrick, man. I'm not in love with him. I'm not going to worship him like some of the other people on Dolphins Twitter might, but I do think he's like a good, serviceable guy. And if we have him there ready to go to manage the game against a Bengals team, let's just embrace it. And then when the Chiefs game rolls around, let's get Tua back, hopefully healthy and ready to go. You know, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 110%. It's just I know exactly how this whole thing's going to play out if we don't get that W. To be honest with you, if we're going to lose that Chiefs game, I would rather Fitz wins 2 in a row, Fitz loses to the Chiefs, all those people shut up, we go back to 2 in prime time against Vegas, he wins, and we ride him out.
Honestly, I think that would be the perfect scenario moving forward.
But we have to take an L, and I don't want to take an L. So
I don't want to take the L, man. But let's be honest. In that game, we're going up against Kelsey. We're going up against Hill. We're going up against CEH. And let's not forget the best QB in the NFL, Mahomes. So I just want to like temper people's expectations. We could pull off the upset. Don't get me wrong. But that's going to be a tough one, man. I know we're home, but still, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, and guys, just an update from Sordi. Sordi's going to be back. He's just putting the little one down right now, and he just wants to thank everyone, quote unquote, for putting up with my SHIT. Got to keep it monetized on this side. Y'all already know what it is. And guys, there's 100 of you in the room. Just smash that like button, subscribe if you're new here. We just recently passed 2,000 subscribers. Only been doing it since March. So again, thank you guys so much. And then next week, obviously on Sunday, I'll be back with the live reaction. Next week, Neil Driscoll from Pro Football Network will be back. We'll be back for another episode here, and we'll have a couple other things going on next week. But Sordi, let's you know, it looks like it's going to be an overcast day in Miami this Sunday, because I mean it's just a tradition over here. We go through every step. It's going to be just everyone your usual weekly pregame weather, quarter by quarter weather forecast. Basically, it's going to start off 79 Fahrenheit. You're going to get a high through the 4 quarters into the fourth quarter of 81 degrees. It's going to feel like 85. You're going to have the humidity percentage go down from 74 all the way down to 70 though. So that'll be better, but it's going to be a lot of cloud cover, as you see there, 90%, going from 95 all the way down to 90% cloud cover. So it's going to be one of those cloudy days, overcast days. And, you know, I guess it's going to be a little overcast and cloudy in all of our hearts if Tua Tagovailoa doesn't start. Let's be honest, right?
It is. It definitely is.
Yo, I wanted to ask you, man. I mean, we were talking about it a little bit earlier backstage before we went. I want to get your thoughts on, you know, even with Preston Williams, let's take the injury situation out of the equation, because he wasn't getting much separation even when he wasn't, or he was dropping footballs, all right? But he did have some big catches too. It's so up and down with that guy. It's like a roller coaster. I want to get your opinion, brother. What do you think of this receiving core right now in terms of, you know, we don't got to speak on DVP. We can both agree he's a stud. He is what he is, a high point catcher. He's not going to give you much yards after the catch ability. He is what he is. He makes the big catch. He draws a flag because defenders get too handsy on him, whatever the case may be. He's not a natural separator. He's not going to take the top off a defense. What do you think about the fact that, you know, Jakeem Grant is basically your number 2 option right now, but even without the injury to Preston Williams, what do you think overall about this team's lack of separation as a unit?
It's really rough, man. It's really rough. So I feel like with DVP and Preston, you have 2 very similar guys. And I'm not saying they're too similar in the way that they play. I think Preston might be a little bit better with the yards after the catch. But Preston, honestly, man, you know, there's times he has hands like bricks. I hate to say it, but he has a weird issue with the drops. And now we're kind of noticing that he has like a little bit of an injury bug. It's nothing too bad, but I mean, this is last year. I know he had the knee, and now this year he's dealing with, I believe it's the foot, right? Is it the foot?
Yep.
He had the foot now. And I think in the past, or I think currently Dolphins fans' thoughts are, hey, let's not forget about Preston. We have Preston. He's going to come back. I have moved on in my thinking that I think we need to just upgrade the position no matter what. I'm not willing to rely on Preston, who I love. Dude, I love Preston.
Mhm.
I think he's a good player.
Love me some
I'm
glitch.
Glitch. I'm not willing to rely on him anymore,
Mhm.
right? I am of the opinion that we take a wide receiver in the first round. If that Texans pick stays kind of in the teens, where I think it might, I'm of the opinion we take a wide receiver who could get separation, take the top off a defense, and really provide some yard after the catch ability, like a Waddle or Devonta Smith, for example. And like you said, Jakeem Grant, man, as our number 2 right now, that's pretty rough. And I want to be very clear to all the Dolphins fans that are listening. Jakeem Grant and Mac Hollins, these are dudes who most fans in the NFL have never heard of. Let's just be honest. They're guys to us because they've been on a team so long and we've been through it year in and year out with them. Like to the general NFL fan, these are just no names. I hate to say it, but I really think it's true. I think we need to get dudes who are going to really add like that first round talent to our group as a whole. He's the aunt with a mustache. Yeah, he pretty much. I guess. I think he pretty much is.
No, yeah, I agree with you. So let me ask you this. You mentioned the draft. Let me pitch you another question. I mean, you're on social media. You know what it is, Sordi. Tua's pretty good friends with Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, and by pretty, I mean, like, they're very, very tight. I mean, you know what it is. And the rumors have been there that they want to play together. And to compound on it, we need a slot guy. He's played over 400 snaps in the slot this year. To compound it even further, Pittsburgh's probably not going to pay him because they got so many guys up and they're so up against the cap. If he can come here on something reasonable, I don't mean like 15 or 16 million a year. I mean like in the range of like 9 to 12 million a year. Is Juju someone you'd be willing? Because again, his tight friend is playing here. He lives here he lives in Miami, just like 90% of the NFL does. Is Juju Smith-Schuster someone you would entertain?
I would definitely entertain Juju. I think he's a good player. I know the stats don't look as great for this year. Like I've been watching Steelers games here and there. I haven't watched all of them. I'm going to be honest, but I know Juju does make an impact. With that being said, he hasn't. I don't think he's done amazing this year. I'm kind of going off his past production and past experience. I would still sign him for the right price. I know that him and Tua are boys. And listen, if we could upgrade the position by any means, I'm down for it. But the reason I want to be clear, if we do sign Juju, I still want to take a wide receiver in the first round.
110%.
Yeah, that's not a replacement for that strategy, dude. Can you imagine if we have DVP, we have let's say we get Devonta Smith, right, and then we have Juju in the slot, man. That offense is upgraded by what 60-70% overnight, and we still have
Sordi. And what else do you do? You have Albert Wilson on a restructured contract, super cheap for 1 year. All you need him is for 1 year because COVID, so it got pushed back.
Yeah.
So we got a guy who went from making 8 or 9 million to now he's making like 4 or 5. So you can swallow that. That's fine for 1 year. That's cool. Think of that receiving core now. All of a sudden, your top 4 goes from either Jalen Waddle / Devontae Smith, DVP, Juju Smith-Schuster, what's his face, Albert Wilson, and then you can mix in Gesicki.
It would be a very good offense, but I do want to pose one question to you. I've heard these names come across in some rumors in different articles of guys we might sign. I've been hearing Allen Robinson and Chris Godwin. I'm wondering your thoughts on them because me personally, I'm not like, don't get me wrong. I think Allen Robinson's a very good player, but I think he's kind of similar to DVP. So I don't know if I would necessarily want to add another player of that mold, but Godwin interests me. I would be pretty open to Godwin too.
I agree with you. And first, Allen Robinson, I like a lot, but again, he's a boundary guy. Godwin, I like a lot because, again, this year I think he's got like 164, 165 snaps on the boundary, but he's got about like 275 snaps in the slot. And that's what we're missing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So my thing is Chris Godwin's got he's got like 4.4. He's got like 4.41, 4.42 speed, I believe. So I'm totally down. Godwin, I'm down with that. My problem is how much do you think you're gonna have to pay these guys? My whole thing with getting Juju was because you live down here and Tua is your friend, I might be able to get you less than market value.
Yeah, you have a good point.
Godwin, brother, I honestly, bro, I would actually probably take Godwin over Juju straight up because Godwin can feast. It doesn't matter who comes out there, whether it's Mike Evans, Rob Gronkowski. Godwin's proven he can still feast when he wants to if you target him.
And I think the key word we need to use here is separation. Godwin and Juju, these are dudes who know how to get that separation, which is something we desperately need.
Yeah.
And it's only been like recently I've actually come to appreciate and realize how much getting that separation is important. And I saw this in the Rams game a couple weeks ago. Cooper Kupp, man, like just his route running is insane. We need somebody who can just do what he does and just make it easier for Tua,
No, I agree with you 110%, man. I mean, and everything just compounds each other. You got wide receivers not getting separation. You got, a banged up offensive line that's gone from coming straight out of like bats out of hell to, they've, I don't know if I really truly believe with the rookie wall, but like, things have slowed down, injuries have slowed down certain guys. And then, you got a running game that's just like a carousel, like you said earlier before we went live, right? Like everything is just compounding themselves right now. And, here's the thing. You spent all over $200+ million in total contracts on defense. Now, and what people didn't realize, Sordi, is what did they do last year, right? They changed from a 4-3 wide 9 they changed from a 4-3 wide 9 defense to a 3-4 base. Okay, what they have to do, they had to tear it down and they had to get rid of a bunch of players, and only a certain guys are still remaining from the Gase era, and it's very few, seldom and far between. And I don't care what anyone says. Baker ain't getting re-upped, so he'll be gone too. You could add him to the list; that'll be gone. He ain't gonna get re-upped when it comes.
Oh yeah, he's dipping. He's definitely dipping.
Yeah, and he's not a fit right now overall. But I mean, the same people aren't realizing, Sordi, when you draft a quarterback and you want to build the offense around the quarterback, it's the same thing. Look at how we're designed. We aren't designed. We weren't fully ready to become a power run / horizontal based offense, running straight out of, mainly out of pistol and widespread sets. We didn't have the guys yet for that. We had Preston Williams, DVP, these guys last year who they were built to be for Chad O'Shea's offense. Well, not DVP, but like DVP's skill set fit it, but he wasn't initially built for it, but he just happened to fall that way. But like, look at Preston Williams, very similar skill set, right? Like those go up and get it high point guys. They were starting to build for Chad O'Shea's offense. Now you got to tear that all down and rebuild it, and it's not gonna. And here's the thing: we invested draft picks, but we invested, the $10.5 million we invested in Eric Flowers. I told everyone from the get-go that's not a good investment. I stand by that. Ted Karras on a 1-year deal was clearly a stopgap, but Jordan Howard was the biggest weapon they went out and purchased. I mean, they didn't fully go all in on rebuilding the offense. It was about getting the defense right last year. Now they're in a situation where we only need starting middle linebacker help, and we need a 2-down, big, run stuffing, gap filling, zero tech nose tackle a la Tyler Shelvin out of LSU. You know, those big guy, that big guy who was so like Vince Wilfork, who was so instrumental to the Patriots defense. And then we need the linebacker. So we're only 2 pieces really away from being, I think, the best defense in the NFL. But look at the offense. The offense we still need a right tackle. We still need a center, a long-term center. We still need to rebuild the wide receiver core. We don't have a starting long-term running back solution. Even if you want to talk committee, we don't even have a committee set in stone right now. We have no identity on offense right now.
Reason, yo, you hit it right. You hit a nail right on the head, man. I completely agree with you. We didn't make enough investments into the offense this past offseason. And you know what? Flores is a defensive dude. I kind of get it. He needed to build up that defense because he's a smart guy. He knows that we need to be able to stop the opposing team if we want to have any chance in the game, right?
Yeah.
But thank God we got as far as who we think is the franchise QB right now, right?
Yeah.
And now this upcoming offseason is where we need to put all of the pieces around him and start establishing that foundation so Tua has as much success as possible. And like you said, we need to make those upgrades to the offensive line. We need to rebuild our wide receiver room and just get talent. We need more general talents in the wide receiver room. And I think me and you are aligned. I'm so sick of having like a 5th, 6th, 7th round running back, man. I want to take like an Etienne or a Najee Harris in the 2nd round, man. Give me somebody like that who we could hand the ball off to 20 plus times a game. I personally want that dude who we could feed the rock to. Don't get me wrong, I want that 3rd down back who could catch passes out of the backfield too. But we need that dude we need that running back specifically who can stay on the field for a full drive and just feed him the rock.
And they can do everything. They can catch out of the backfield. They can run good routes. You know what I mean? They can, you can feed it to them 25, 30 times. That's my only issue with Etienne. If I remember correctly, he has not carried the ball 25 plus times more than twice in his Clemson career. So I don't know. But Najee, I believe. But the thing is, Etienne's just so freaking explosive. You know what I mean? Like, my thing is, what if Etienne goes high? Because I mean, if Clyde, let me hit you with this, Sordi. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire goes at like, what did he go, 28 or 29?
29 or 30, yeah.
If he goes that high, where the hell's Etienne gonna go, bro? Like, that's top 15, that's top 20, my dude.
I think Etienne's a 1st rounder. We saw CH go in the 1st round, and I think Etienne's the better player. I would be I think I'd be a clown if I thought CH was better than Etienne. With that being said, that leaves us with the opportunity to get Harris in the 2nd, because I truly believe I don't want to use a 1st round pick on a running back. I just don't. But I think 2nd round pick is a sweet spot to get a running back. With that being said, I'm wondering if the reason why Etienne hasn't toted the rock like 20, I think he said 20 or 25 plus times a game is just because Clemson's killing teams by midway through the 2nd or at halftime, so he might not need that many snaps. Mm-hmm. And that makes me think too, like, hey, maybe he is this super explosive dude. Let's face it, we have a lot of draft picks. Maybe we climb back up into the 1st round and snag him, and we have a lethal offense,
Mm-hmm. We need that center. We need that, like Creed Humphrey from Oklahoma, Josh Myers from Ohio State. I really like Trey Hill from Georgia, but other than Creed Humphrey, these are guys you can get later. And Landon Dickerson from Alabama, like another familiar guy. That guy's a freaking, look up that guy, brother. That guy's an absolute. He's like Solomon Kinley, but he plays center, bro. The guy's like 6'5" or 6'6", and he's like built like a brick shithouse, my dude. All right, let's get into some of the keys I've identified here, and let's start with the offensive side of the football. And this is going to be hard to do, especially when we looked at that injury report earlier, but establish the run and stick to it. And I mean, let's start with this. Sordi, you talked about it earlier. I mean, I don't know what Chan Gailey's issue with the run game is, and that's actually one of the reasons why I've been so trolling / adamant about the Steve Sarkisian thing, is because if you listen to what Steve Sarkisian says, he says, the run game, establishing the run and predicating everything off the run is so important to him, especially in the RPO. And we haven't established a run. That's why they haven't been able to open up the RPO game like we all thought they were going to do. But I mean, last week, Sordi, we were up by 10. It was 13-3. There was about 10 minutes left in the third quarter, my friend. And we're up by 10. And we've ran 35 offensive plays at this point, Sordi. 28 of them are pass attempts by Ryan Fitzpatrick. 7 of them are runs. And the Breda and Laird fumbles didn't come till the second half. You know what I mean? Like, Breda was moving the ball until he got fumbled. Then they gave it to DeAndre Washington. DeAndre Washington started to do things. But, I got to say to you, my friend, you saw how we played against the Jets. We could probably agree that if we were against a better team, we probably would have been in up that creek with no paddle at one point early on in the second half. I want to get your thoughts on establishing the run and sticking with it, Sorty, because even when Jordan Howard was here, my friend, if Breda got it going or Gaskin got it going, we'd come out of the gate in the second half and all of a sudden Jordan Howard's in there. And, there was that one, I forget which game it was, but Jordan Howard started off the second half. He got blown up in the backfield because they knew the personnel package. They knew we were going to run it. And they basically forced Chan Gailey to run the same personnel package, but now call a screen, a passing play with Jordan Howard to try and keep them honest to the pass out of that package. And it got blown. If you remember correctly, if you remember that game, I forget which one it was, he got blown up in the backfield on the screen right after that too. So, I don't get the play calling and the personnel calls they make, but, establishing the run and sticking with it, Sorty, I know we don't have Ricky Williams, but come on here, brother.
I don't know, man. I think Chan Gailey might not trust our running backs that much because it's really weird how much he doesn't want to run the ball. And you have an aging Fitzpatrick who, let's face it, his arm strength is not the same as it used to be. He misses some key throws. He misses some general throws just because he doesn't have that strength in his arm anymore. I still think he's serviceable for his age right now. And, him and Gailey have their relationship. They've established that rapport over the years. So maybe Gailey just trusts the ball more in Fitzpatrick's hands, or even with Fitzpatrick's scrambling ability, just to get those maybe 4 or 5 yards, as opposed to running the ball behind our offensive line that, let's face it, hasn't been very great over the past couple weeks. But I think me and you are very aligned here. We just need to establish the run. I think one of my predictions for this game is that Gaskin is going to get activated. We're going to start feeding him the ball, and I'm hoping that this is that game where we start focusing on the run game a little bit more. I know he's coming off an injury, but maybe we do a 50-50 split between him and Laird, right? Mm-hmm. And we just tote the rock on these drives. Keep the ball out of Fitzpatrick's hands too much so he doesn't make any mistakes and potentially throw the game for us.
And you know what, Sorty? Maybe you go. What happened to the Wildcat?
Yeah, with Bowden, right? I thought that was working pretty well.
And then Perry came in and ran it a few times. This is because of our limited options back there. Perfect time to potentially install it back again and see, to see that, because I don't know if I feel totally comfortable with Laird and Gaskin being our only legitimate options back there, and really we're handcuffed where that's the deal. But we go even further here. We saw earlier Geno Atkins was on the injury report, but you look at this team defensively, especially across their front seven, other than the defensive tackle DJ Reader that they brought in from the Texans, they don't really have much. Christian Covington, he's all right, but like I said, You could make the argument he's their second best interior guy, but that's not saying much. DJ Reader's clearly their guy. Geno Atkins on the injury report. Carl Lawson, the edge player, he's pretty good. But I really truly believe this is a very poor offense. This is a very poor defense. But we'll stick to what our offense can do against their defense. Sort of, I believe this is a perfect game for the offensive line to make a statement against a really, really poor pass rush. They don't generate a lot of sacks. They don't generate a lot of pressures. And we talked about this when we went live, before we went live, Austin Jackson's struggle. We haven't had a chance to talk about, I think, my early evaluation on Robert Hunt was he's a guard. He's not a tackle. I don't think he has the feet. That's why you saw a guy like, remember the Arizona game where Marcus Golden was absolutely taking him to town because he can convert that power to speed. You know what I mean? He got that bend around the edge and he just couldn't handle it. He doesn't have the feet for that. He's a guard. He's going to be a Pro Bowl guard. I don't think he'll be a Pro Bowl tackle. But anyways, that said, the Bengals, how bad they've been this season. You've watched them because you've watched some of Joe Burrow, and you've seen, especially since we started to get guys back, the second half since week 7 on, this offensive line has really struggled at times, Sordy. Really since Robert Hunt, after the San Francisco game, when Robert Hunt was installed more and he's been in and out, this offensive line as a whole, not just Robert Hunt, it's just a coincidence, has really struggled. I want to get your thoughts on the offensive line and, how bad this Bengals team is. Do you think this is the perfect opportunity to smash a team in the fucking mouth and say, you know what? Like, get that confidence and get their footing back under them?
Yeah, this is definitely that game for them to just fucking put their feet in the grounds and just get that momentum, get that momentum going. This is the Bengals team, they're 2-7-1, and I'm looking at their game against the Redskins, who are another piss poor team in my opinion. And the Redskins of all teams were able to drop 20 points on that pretty crappy defense, right? And I think with Joe Burrow was the heart and soul of that team as a rookie QB. And I know he was a number 1 pick, so you kind of expect that, but I still think it's pretty impressive that he won over the locker room very quickly. Everyone rallied around him and we're really playing hard for him, right? And now he could be out for the next year and a half. He might not play till 2022. And the reason why I'm saying that is I think that there's been a report that the team as a whole is not very well coached under Zach Taylor. And what I mean by that is there's some controversy in the locker room, like some of the inner workings that's going on. And it's pretty funny because I know that some of our coaches from the Bullygate regime are currently in the Bengals coaching staff. And I mention that because it wouldn't surprise me if that Bengals team kind of is kind of checked out mentally, right? They're 2-7. They're not going anywhere this year. They're going to play a Dolphins team that, honestly, I know we're critical of the offense right now, but I think from an outside perspective, they're looking at Tua or Fitzpatrick, and they're saying, you know what? These are both 2 pretty good QBs, and we're nervous of the way they're going to attack us. So I think that the offensive line is going to feast against this defense. I think their defense is going to be a little bit flat in this game. I truly believe that they're a little bit defeated, knowing their season's over, knowing that the hope they had in Joe Burrow is kind of gone for the foreseeable future. And like you said, they don't have a good pass rush at all right now. I think it's a nice game that sets us up and sets up our offensive line for a lot of success and a lot of momentum going into that Chiefs game the week after.
Yeah. And I agree 110%, man. And I just wanted to ask you, man, you said something there. 2022 is what you're hearing?
So not necessarily what I'm hearing, but I know that Burrow doesn't necessarily have the same injury as Carson Wentz, but he tore his ACL, MCL, LCL, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if he necessarily dislocated his knee, but something's not right with his knee also. And that's a pretty severe injury, to be honest. Think about it, his knee got pushed to the left and then got pushed back. So it bent the wrong way to the side, and then it bent the wrong way instead of kicking it outwards, it went inwards, right?
Oh,
So his knee pretty much exploded on itself. And
oh.
I'm of the opinion that look, Joe Burrow is still young enough, right? I know he's a little bit older because he was very like deep in his college football career, but you're a Bengals team that doesn't have a lot of hope outside of Burrow, and they're saying he might not play until halfway through next year. I'm almost wondering if Zach Taylor is canned after this year or like potentially next year, maybe early on he's not looking good
Move
against
off him
cans.
altogether.
Yeah, I mean,
New coach.
yep. Maybe you just wait until 2022 and you get Burrow back 100% healthy because Carson Wentz has not been the same QB after that pretty bad knee injury. And to be honest, Joe Burrow's might be worse than that one.
And my friend, we watched him at LSU. We've watched him. I know we both tuned in to watch him at Cincinnati. Brother, is he going to be the same? Because think of it, his sneaky athleticism and his ability to move up and out of the pocket and make plays happen with his legs, is that going to be gone now? It's going to be gone mentally for his first little bit because he's going to be skittish. He's going to have to get that sense back, and it's going to take a couple of hits for him to get that confidence back. But even still, all that damage, is he going to be the same guy when he moves too?
Yeah, it's going to be rough. We're going to have to really wait and see there. With my inexpert opinion, I have to assume that his game is going to be affected just a little bit. I know he has the best trainers and the best PT people in the world helping him out, but it's just a fact that when you tear all those different ligaments in your knee, they don't move and bend and stretch the same way like they used to. And like you said, it's kind of that mental part. And listen, if there's any QB who I think could get past the mental aspect of it, it is Joe Burrow. But with that, kind of similar to Tua, right? I think those two guys mentally will get through it no matter what. But it's going to affect him a little bit in the beginning. I think it would be naive to say if it didn't, right? And we know that one of Joe Burrow's biggest selling points coming out of college was his ability to make a play out of nothing. Dude, back when he was at LSU, man, there were plays that he just was a wizard in the backfield. And I was like, Jesus, man, like I would love this guy on my team. He can make something out of nothing. And I was on record before the draft. If we either took Burrow or Tua, honestly, I would have been extremely happy.
So I would have been.
Yep. Fine. I would have been pretty happy with either. But you have to imagine that super insane scrambling ability is going to get knocked down a peg. And then you keep in mind, he has those little 9-inch hands up in the cold AFC North. I don't know. Who knows if he's that same guy?
And he doesn't have an overly strong arm either.
Yep.
We could make the argument Wentz has a stronger arm than he does. And then the third key here is ball security. I mean, you mentioned it earlier in terms of Laird and Breda fumbling the football last week. And then, we talk about that even when he came in the Broncos game, he threw the interception to seal the deal, did Fitzpatrick after he relieved Tua. And then last week, he got away with about 3 or 4 passes that should have been picked off against the Jets. He just got away with them. I don't want to give any life to this team. I don't want to be the team, Sordi, where Fitz turns the ball over or running back turns the ball over and we lose to a Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals. I just don't want to be that team.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think we're going to be that team. My gut feeling tells me that we do win this game with Fitz or with Tua, right? So just for a little bit of context for the viewers and for you, not sure if you're aware, but the spread right now,
11
we're given 10.5 now.
Oh, they went down.
So it went down a bit. It went down just a little bit, but 10.5 is still a very big number.
See, Tua affects the spread, my friend. You see that, baby? Hey, you see that? Tua's already affecting spread.
Yeah, man. I think he's affecting the spread. Half a point, but because they don't know yet. But 10.5. So, dude, for our team to be giving 10.5, that's a very big number. Yeah. I honestly, you know what? I don't know if we cover that. I think we win. I don't know if we cover that. And the reason why I'm saying that is I do think that we're going to have a bigger focus on protecting the ball. I could imagine this week in practice, you probably had Flores really focusing with Laird I know Gaskin's been on the sideline, but I'm sure he's been preaching just ensuring that you have a good grasp on the ball. Ball security is a primary focus. We're not trying to give this team any opportunities for the upset. With that being said, if Tua's starting, I have a lot of faith that he's not going to make any mistakes. If Fitz is starting, this is where it gets a little sketchy because Fitz has proven throughout his career that he could just have that game where he just is off and he throws picks.
Yeah.
With that being said, I would imagine that they might that's why I think we're going to get the run game really going more here, right? I think they might take that more conservative approach, try and pound the rock, limit mistakes, and just kind of breeze through a win, like really focusing on the trenches, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree 110%. And so let's get into the defensive keys here. So defensively, and these are a little bit more in depth. Just how it lands. So the first one, take away Giovanni Bernard to force the game into Brandon Allen's hands. And what I mean by that is, obviously we all know Joe Mixon is out, but if we can stuff the run game, I mean, Giovanni Bernard has 223 yards on 60 plus carries this year, on 65 to be exact. If you can stuff Giovanni Bernard, I mean, there aren't very many options. I mean, I think Sammy Perine's behind him. I don't think there's very many options behind Giovanni Bernard, but putting the ball into Brandon Allen's hands and forcing the game into him, and this kind of plays off with, getting ahead early, and that'll be the third key. But, getting ahead early, like I think we have done in past weeks on the road, like the San Francisco game and previous other wins, Sordi, that'll also take Giovanni Bernard out of the game as well and force it into a passing situation and into Brandon Allen's hands. What do you think about that, about making Brandon Allen having to be the key cog in the offensive wheel of the Cincinnati Bengals and forcing them and cornering them into that kind of position?
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think forcing the game into his hands is absolutely the goal. I do envision that it shouldn't be too hard to stop Giovanni Bernard. I know he's a veteran running back. He's a little bit later in his career now.
Yep.
He used to be very electric, and I'm not saying he's not electric anymore. But with him as the really only big running back option on the Bengals, I think if we just stuff him in the backfield, really focus on stopping the run, I can't imagine Brandon Allen torching us. I do know the Bengals have good receivers in T. Higgins, and obviously we have AJ Green, who historically has been a good wide receiver, and even Tyler Boyd has been good. But with that being said, let's think about when our defense really feasts the most. That's when we're going up against QBs who aren't very good at making plays with their legs. And Brandon Allen isn't that QB who could really extend the play or really kind of take off and run. Against the Giants, he had 4 runs for 7 yards. Mm-hmm. So he's averaging 1.8 yards a run. He's not a very big dual threat QB. So if we really just focus on getting Gio in the backfield and putting a lot of pressure in Brandon Allen's face, I think it's a big focus for our defense, and I think that will lead to a win.
And yeah, I mean, that's a perfect segue to the second key, because as an offensive unit this year, Sordi, the Bengals have allowed 174 pressures and 27 sacks through 12 weeks already. I mean, Emmanuel Ogbah, 8 sacks, top 10 in pressures and sacks amongst edge players this year. Shaq Lawson, he's played pretty well since he came back from injury about 4 or 5 games ago. Christian Wilkins looked like a man possessed when he came back from injury. Zach Seiler, who you mentioned earlier, he's been so good this year, and he's been so versatile whether they moved him inside or outside. And Raekwon Davis, who we spoke of earlier, they all must feast this week, hands down. This is your chance. Jonah Williams. I mean, you look at a guy like Jonah Williams. I mean, this is a kid where he was drafted in the first round. This was supposed to be the protection moving forward for the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, this is a guy, my friend, we're talking about, he's got 595 total snaps this season. But if you were to look at his pressure numbers are absolutely disgusting. He's allowed 21 pressures, 3 sacks, 12 hurries, and 6 hits. So not very good for a guy who just got extended. But this is the perfect game where we can pin the ears back and we can feast. And like you made a great point, Sordy. Brandon Allen isn't a guy with fleet of foot. So if you collapse that pocket and you get pressure on the interior, guys hold their blocks in the interior as well, Brandon Allen's going to have nowhere to go, and it's going to be a long day at the office for him, my friend.
Yeah, Reeves, I think you hit it. I think you hit the nail on the head. And honestly, I really don't have too much more to add there. I think it's pretty evident that our defense has been killing it over the past couple weeks, and the Bengals offensive line, clearly from the stats, has not been that good. 27 sacks, 174 pressures, like you said. We're having Agba, we're having Lawson, who have both been killers at the DN position. We have Davis and Wilkins, who are known for being able to disrupt the backfield. Sealer's been coming on really hot. We just extended him. So our defensive line has been looking really good. I think this is just honestly another game where they just get that so much more momentum going into that Chiefs game. I truly think that they are going to feast against this Bengals team, and we're going to make Brandon Allen's day pretty much hell on Sunday.
Love it. And then finally, for defensive keys here, the Bengals are 0-5-1 on the road this year. So just kind of goes off with what we were talking about earlier about, I said, so take the ball away here because they aren't built offensively to play catch up. And it goes about to what we were talking about earlier off the first key. By putting the ball into Brandon Allen's hands, you can do that quicker by getting ahead. And by getting ahead, you can take the ball away, put the offense in a really good position to score, and things can happen for sure, 110%. Anything you want to add to taking the ball away because of how bad they are on the road and how overall you look at this team, Sordy, they're just not built. When we know how this feels, for how many years, Sordy, we weren't built to play catch up. We still don't know if we're totally built to play catch up down 2 or 3 touchdowns. They're another team like that. I mean, any thoughts on that, brother?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't know if we're built up like ketchup either. I think we're learning that as we go into Fleur's regime. I like to think we are because, I mean, Tua went to war with Kyler that game, back and forth. So that when Tua is the QB, I truly think that we could come from behind. That's why I was really pissed when Flores pulled him out of that Broncos game. I understand he was getting killed, but I would have liked him to see the opportunity. But really, like you mentioned, the Bengals are not good on the road. They're coming to Miami, which we know we have a pretty nice home field advantage just because, and don't get me wrong, we're in December. I don't know how much the Bengals are going to be really baking in the sun on the away sideline there down in Hard Rock. But like you said, let's keep the ball away from them. Let's try to get as many takeaways as possible. Hopefully Xavier Howard has one of his godly picks like he's been having over these past couple of weeks. Maybe we could even expect a pick 6 there. And just go out ahead and just they can never catch up.
I mean, and you look at this guy. I mean, it's crazy when you look at Xavier Howard right now. I mean, he's got a 50.3 passer rating against when he's been targeted. And again, you segued it perfectly here. I mean, the matchup to watch that we've identified for this week, it's AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins against the man you're just talking about, Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, Nick Needham. Sordy, Nick Needham has been playing so well after such a little bit of a rough start, adapting to being the slot guy. He even came away with his first pick last weekend, which was absolutely impressive. I mean, we talked about it before we went live. Byron Jones is playing so well, and he's blanketing the coverage so well that, it almost seems to opposing quarterbacks that X is the better option just because of the way X has been baiting people this year. It's been fantastic. But you look at a guy like Byron Jones. I mean, he's done his job. I know the numbers aren't staggering, but that's why they've been able to bait people in with Xavier Howard this year. But I mean, I'm not going to be the last person to hate on Byron Jones because even our run game improved when he came back. But I mean, you look at this defense as a whole, and especially the secondary, this is the perfect opportunity, Sorty. If they follow the keys we just listed out and they get forced into the passing game, my friend, this isn't AJ Green of 4 years ago.
Yep.
T. Higgins is a rookie. Whether it's X or whether it's Byron Jones, I think we're going to take the latter. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
All day of the week. And then Tyler Boyd, he's a fantastic slot player. No one's going to argue that. But the way Nick Needham's been playing recently, brother, I'll take Nick Needham in the slot against anyone, just like I'll take Eric Rowe against any tight end in the league after he showed he could erase George Kittle. I want to get your thoughts on the matchup because, I mean, you alluded to it. I mean, do you think Xavier Howard is going to get another pick, go to up to 8? I've mentioned this before, besides Derek Anderson, besides Sam Madison, he is one of the Dick Anderson and Sam Madison, and there's one other former Dolphin. He's only the 4th Dolphin to have multi 7 interception seasons. Do you think he's going to add 8 to that? I mean, do you think that's a legitimate possibility with whoever he goes up against?
Yeah, absolutely. I think X has an amazing chance to make that 8 this game. I'm kind of leaning. He might make it 9, man. He's been so on fire. I think Flores is going to make Allen's life, like I alluded to before. I think Flores is going to make Brandon Allen's life a living hell this week. I think he's going to come at him with everything he has. I think Allen's going to get nervous. He's going to just chuck the ball up, and we know X feasts, especially on these younger QBs who are a little bit looser with the ball, like Darnold, for example. I could really see X just balling out even more this game. I could see if X gets another pick or 2 picks this game, it puts him on the radar for Defensive Player of the Year. I know this is something we were talking about a little bit pre-show, but other than that, I really like the matchup. It's been amazing to see Nick Needham come on over these past couple weeks a little more. It just gives us another threat in the secondary there, which is awesome to see because, these past couple of years, man, our secondary just was trash. It made me hate going into every game week after week, knowing we were going to get torched. And now, for the first time in a while, we have 2 cornerbacks who are legit lockdown corners.
Mm-hmm.
Most teams don't even want to throw Byron Jones' way. And you look the other way, and it's Xavier Howard, who's an interception machine. And then, like you said, in the slot, you have Needham, who's been coming onto his own. So I think this is a good matchup for us. You mentioned that T. Higgins is a rookie. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be a good receiver in this league. But he's not there yet. I think we're going to take care of him this week. AJ Green's not the same guy as he used to be. I'm looking forward to seeing this matchup on Sunday.
Yeah, and I mean, we're going into this game with our longest active. And guys, Jake Scott is the other player that I forgot to mention. We're going into this game with a 17 game takeaway streak, our longest active streak as a franchise since 2001, and this is the perfect opportunity to continue that. You know what I mean? And even, let's be honest, even heading into the Chiefs game, Sorty, with the amount they throw the football, this secondary, I mean, I guess Byron Jones is going to have to be the one to lock up with Tyreek because of the speed issue.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, even the opportunities are probably going to present themselves in that game to continue the streak. And God help us, if this streak gets to 20, that's going to be a beautiful thing. I wanted to ask you, Sorty, what's your prediction for this game?
If I had to give a score for this game, I would say maybe something like 24-10. I think maybe we let up a touchdown later in the game, maybe 3rd, 4th quarter, kind of a garbage time type situation. I really think we're going to make Brandon Allen's life miserable. I could see the offense getting about maybe we're toting the rock a little more. We get two touchdowns or so from the running game, and then we look for Fitz to maybe throw a touchdown or so. So yeah, 24-10 is my prediction there.
It hurts, my friend, hearing you basically come to terms that you think, or that that it's probably going to be Fitz. You know what I mean? It hurts.
Yeah,
because-
it's interesting how I kind of leaned right to Fitz, right? I kind of talked myself into it already, and like that. That's I don't know. That's my mentality. I just think we played safe for another week. That Tua, we just let him. Look, it's a crappy Bengals team. Why force the issue? That's kind of my mentality right now.
Mhm. And my prediction is somewhat similar, but it was what I said on the Finish Line, my podcast that you guys can find on Spotify and iTunes with Richmond Webb and Mr. Ballgame. My prediction was 35-10 Miami. I think we're going to absolutely blow them out. I was averaging going to do 38-10, but I leaned with 35. I think we're going to blow them out. I think we're going to have a way with them. I think me and you giving them 10 points is very, very friendly. But I think it's going to be an absolute disaster, and it's going to be a nightmare for them. And guys, we got 135 of you in the room right now. I want you to smash that like button, subscribe if you're new here. If you'd like to donate to the channel, you can. You can go paypal.me/Phinsider. If you'd like to become a Phinsider the NFL Patreon, guys, there's multiple levels. There's a $2 level, a $5 level, a $10 level, a $15 level, a $20 level. And guys, there's already 17 Patreons that you can go join. And there's perks to all those levels. And as usual, I want to shout out each and every one of our Patreons. And that starts with, of course, Infinite Trauma, Rhino Sith, Fake Spike 94, Shake Money, Shake, Joe B, KAL Day, Ramon Casillas, Seth, Mr. 2-Bit, Slim Pickin, Big Time, Red Dino, Marino's Goat, Conflict, Keith Davis, ya boy Trev, and Josh Ortega. Appreciate each and every one of you funding the operation, continuing it going, continuing for us to bring you quality content. Patchvibes.com, guys. Use code FINSIDE for 20% off your order right now. That's Shula 347 patches available. They got a bunch of other beautiful patches. I got some of them right here just to show you. They got that old school logo. They got that Shula fire right there in front of you. And of course, I wish Houtz was here. They got the left arm of God right there for you. You can go get 20% off your order right now. Go check them out. Official Phinsider the NFL merch, 5 different designs, t-shirts, hoodies. Go check it out. teespring.com/stores/Phinsider the NFL. This is the year you can get 10% off with the code Phinsider at the link below. Guys, they got a great Shula shirt. It says GOAT, and Shula's face is the O. It's amazing. They got Coach Flo knows best. They got a bunch of great designs. You can go check them out. There you go, 10% off. Just use the code Phinsider. Sordi, now that I've done the housekeeping, my friend, I got to ask you, as we await Houtz's response to the following text, yo, you think you'll be able to make it back or not, bro? Let's talk a little bit, because I know I'm not going to have you. I know you're a busy man and you probably won't have time to get here before the Chiefs game. I hate to look beyond, but does that Chiefs game, with the fact that Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been running the ball like a madman since Le'Veon came there, they got so many weapons at their disposal. I know the offensive line has been pretty porous somewhat this year. Are you worried that, because we all know how it is, are you worried that if we win this game, it's a 2-game winning streak, that they are just going to go right back to Fitz against the Chiefs? Or do you truly believe what Flores said, that this is his guy and they're going to go right back to Tua? Because history has told us that he's so up and down and bipolar with his quarterback decisions dating back to Fitz and Josh Rosen last year. I mean, one minute he had you believing Josh Rosen was the guy moving forward. The next thing he's telling you, we're going back to Fitz because he gives us the best chance to win. Then he has telling everyone he's getting better every week. Then Josh Rosen's out of here. Where do you stand on how Flores has handled the whole quarterback situation this week? Because even remember, Sordi, before Tua was named the starter, literally the week before, he gave the spiel about how I care, and I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just using spiel as like rant.
Mm-hmm.
He gave the whole spiel that, I'm a father figure to these guys, paraphrasing right now. I'm a father figure to these guys. If they were your kids, you wouldn't want them to start if they were ready. And this was a week after Omar Kelly went on X's and Omar and told everyone, hey, a close source to the situation told me Tua only knows 40% of the playbook. So 1 week he's not ready. The next week it's let's roll. He's good to go. Like, that's your starter, my friend. Like, this whole situation has just been so up and down and such a roller coaster. I mean, how do you gauge the Chiefs game if we win this week and if we win easily? And like Fitz looks good against Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's really tough, man, because I'm of the opinion that I'm most concerned about Tua's health moving forward, right? And it's just a thumb injury. We were talking about it. It's like he might potentially have a sprained UCL or whatever it may be. But if Fitzpatrick looks really good this Sunday, I think it makes Flores' decision a little bit harder against the Chiefs because you have a team that's led by Mahomes and Andy Reid, one of the best in the NFL, but they are coming to Miami. We're not going to Kansas City, right? They have to come to us at least. So we have a little bit of an advantage there. I do believe that Flores is very big on integrity, accountability, responsibility. So I tend to believe in when he says that, hey, I don't know how many times I could tell you guys enough that Tua is our starting QB moving forward, regardless of how Fitz does or however good or not good he may look or so on. I'm leaning to the fact that he would play Tua against Kansas City as long as he's healthy and ready to go. But there's that thought in the back of my mind that Flores might just be screwing with us in the sense that he doesn't care what anyone thinks. He could change his mind maybe that Monday, the week before the Chiefs game. He's like, hey, Tua's looking a little bit more healed. He might be 90%. But, you know what? Fitz looked really good against the Bengals. He killed it. He made all the right reads. He made some accurate throws. He threw Gesicki and DVP open, for example. Let's roll with him one more week against a tough team that we know would make a rookie's life not the best, right?
Yeah.
So I want to lean towards Tua would be good to go for the Chiefs game. But, dude, Flores keeps us on our toes. I guess I kind of have to respect it because if the fan base is this up in arms, I could only imagine how the opposing team feels, not knowing who to prepare for.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, actually, and you answered it yourself, but what if he's just playing mind games with the opposing team?
Yeah, and that could be a possibility for this week, too.
Because, I mean, last week, in post-game, he said Tua was almost ready to go, and now all of a sudden it's, because here's the thing. I talked with Ballgame privately about this today, Sordi. Swelling doesn't go back up. It usually goes down. Mm-hmm. And if the swelling rise by the end of midway last week and then into the game, it's probably gone down since then. It probably hasn't gotten worse and worse unless there were stitches involved that we don't know about. Like, was there a cut? We don't know any of that, right? All right, brother. So Houtz says, let me know that the three of us have to actually plan a show in advance and do this for legit sometime soon. He just texted me, but he won't be coming back. So, Sordi, let's roll it out. Let's get your final thoughts before we get out of here.
Let's do it. Final thoughts. I think we go into this game against the Bengals. I think we're going to kick their ass. I know my prediction was 24-10, but I think it's going to look way more convincing during the game. Like I said, I think that late Bengals touchdown makes it look closer than it might have been. I really want to see Chan Gailey kind of get a little more creative here. I want him to go towards the run game, and whether it's Gaskin or Laird, right? I want to see one of those dudes really show up. I would love to see one of them get over 100 yards and really show a commitment to the run. You know what? I'm really not going to try and look too much past the Bengals and to the Chiefs. Let's focus on this week. Let's really see how we perform. I want to see how the defense does against a QB who's pretty inexperienced and just get that momentum going into what's going to be a tough game against the Chiefs.
Yeah, Sordi, that's what the hardest thing. we're losing, with the Jets game and this game potentially, we're losing so many key growth and developmental reps for Tua because they're against pretty porous teams. You know what I mean? Like, this is perfect. These are perfect confidence building games heading into that Chiefs game if we were playing them. You know what I mean? These are perfect reps to stat the pad, to pad the stat line, and again, build the confidence and just start seeing things, better on the field and just get adapted to the game and the speed itself, and the windows closing quicker and the pocket collapsing quicker than it does at the collegiate level. And that's what sucks about this. Like I said to you before we went live, Sorty, like I woke up last weekend when we knew he wasn't going to be starting, and I just, I wasn't overly excited. I knew we were going to beat the Jets. I knew Fitz was starting, and it goes back to, kind of what you said earlier about, about how you don't get really excited about Fitz. And, I think why is because we know what to expect. We know he isn't the future. We know what to expect. You're either going to get Fitz magic, Fitz tragic. Yeah, he's going to go and get the should be W's, but is he going to get the W's when they matter most? So, I think just the game is more exciting with Tua. It's just because he can make things happen with his legs when he gets outside the pocket more. He's younger, and so he allows him to do that. And, again, we just want to continue to see the growth and development of this kid. And it's only sweeter that we win alongside of that. And it's just tough that he's missing these reps because they're just so key. And, a Tua, you think of this, Sorty, Tua got the thumb injury. He's now been stuck at 3-1. He could very well be 5-1 heading into the Kansas City game if that thumb injury doesn't happen. And you're dealing with probably a whole different quarterback than what we're even going to be seeing on Sunday if he plays. So it sucks, man, but it is what it is. All that matters at the end of the day is the logo, not the name on the back of the sweater. So we just got to get the dub. We're in the middle of the playoff race, 7-4. Got to keep winning ways up, and hopefully, another thing I want to see, and I want to get your thoughts before we get out of here. What I was really excited about at the end of the Jets game, brother. The real reason too is because, like you, I'm on social media a lot. I didn't want to face social media if Fitz balled out. I didn't want to hear any of that nonsense. I didn't want to see any of the nonsense. The thing I loved about Flo, my friend, is how quickly he deaded that nonsense post game and said, if Tua's healthy, he's our guy. If Fitz starts, I need to hear that again at the end of this game, my friend. I don't want to hear, we're going to evaluate the situation this week heading into the Chiefs game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I like that Flores brought that up after the game last week. I really appreciated that. Dude, like you said, I'm aligned. After this game, if Fitzpatrick does start, whether he does good or bad and we squeak out a win or we blow them out, we need Flo to come out there and say, hey, Fitz is the backup, Tua is the starter. We're going to monitor him this week, and we're hoping we have him back for Kansas City.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't want any questions lingering. And Flores, I don't care how sick you're getting of answering the questions, just keep answering them because I don't need any nonsense with, not even let's worry about the toxic fan base. The media alone, some of the local media doesn't do it any help at all. But Sorty, my friend, this was your second time on the show. I appreciate you rolling through. Shout out to the homie Houtz. He's still dealing with putting his kid down. That's why he wasn't able to come back, guys. But, the three of us, I pitched it originally to Sorty. We're going to give you guys a full-blown three of us show in the near future. And y'all can depend on, we just gave y'all a taste, it looks like, tonight. And now I got to update the thumb, and I got to make sure Sorty's on that bad boy. But Sorty, man, love you, homie. Appreciate you, homie, for coming on, brother. If you guys do not follow him on Twitter, you need to check him out. Just at Fins or Die, FINSORDIE. Absolute amazing follow. No one's better at trolling Charger and Bengal fans than this man right here. And again, man, appreciate you for coming through, my friend. Shout out to the homie Houtz, wherever you are. I know you're watching right now too. He said you're an absolute natural, Sort. He said you need to get a camera though. I'm not even joking. That's what he said. He said, you're an absolute natural. You need to get a camera. But yo, shout out to you, Sordi. Appreciate you for coming on. And guys, I'll be back on Sunday. It's 142 of you in the room. Smash that like button. I'll be back on Sunday. A half hour before the game starts, and we'll do that live reaction, and I'll be going from about 12:30 till about 5:30, 6 at night, 5 hour to 5.5 hour live reaction stream. Pre-game, I'll open it up to you guys for a half hour to come on. Halftime, I'll open it up for you guys on halftime to come on, and then post-game, open it up for you guys to come on, and then all 4 quarters, I'll give you live play-by-play coverage and analysis of every snap. So until then, I mean, guys, it goes without saying, y'all already know what time it is. It's Fins Up all day, every day. Appreciate each and every one of you. Again, so humbled, so honored, so blessed to get to 2K just yesterday, I believe it was. And already we're beyond 2025, so the subscribers keep rolling in. Shout out to Sordi for coming on, Houtz for coming on, shout out to Dante Colinelli for being on yesterday. A live reaction on Sunday, full post-game show will be on Monday, and then Wednesday or Thursday, I'll be back with Neil Driscoll of Pro Football Network. And then I got another special surprise I'm working on next week too, just trying to figure out the day. And then, of course, next Friday, Chiefs, Dolphins preview game. Y'all already know what time it is. Again, Sordi, salute to you, my friend. Appreciate you for taking the time out, sipping some, and coming on the show. Guys, we will see you on Sunday. Until then, like I already said, I'll say it again.